Hi guys, this is going to be the tutorial to show you how to make these butterfly stitch fingerless gloves. And as you can see here, you can always make the very top part a different color and the ruffle part a different color. But for this tutorial, I'm just going to be showing you how to make all one color. For this project, you're going to need a marker of some kind, a pair of scissors, one skein of yarn. This in Israel here, we get this in 100 grams a skein, but I know in the U.S., even in the UK, I think they give you much more. So anyway, with only 100 grams skein, I can still make a pair of gloves and one of the butterfly beanie hats, all from one skein. So you can get quite a bit out of just one skein. Also, you're going to need a 5.5 millimeter hook. And that's it. Let's get started. Oh, also need to tell you, this is regular worsted weight yarn. 4 ply for the US, 10 ply for the UK. So to get started here, and I already have my chains, you want to start, get your 5.5 millimeter hook, and chain 26. And once you get your 26 chains, then we start round 1. You want to single crochet, let me get it closer here. You want to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So count 1, 2, and put your first single crochet there. And I'm only going through this top part of the stitch. As you can see, I'm just going through that top loop there. In the second stitch, you need to do a slip stitch, just pulling through both loops. Then chain 3, and then you want to skip a stitch, and then in the next stitch, slip stitch. Next stitch, you want to do a single crochet. Then the next stitch, you just want to do a slip stitch. And now you want to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And now skip a stitch, and in the next stitch, just do a slip stitch. Then in the next stitch, do a single crochet. Then in the next stitch, do a slip stitch. And now I want to show you, this is the pattern that we're doing. After every chain 3 and in between the next chain 3, you have a series of 3 stitches. Slip stitch, single crochet, slip stitch. And once you do the last slip stitch, you chain 3 and then you slip stitch, and that begins the 3 stitches again. The next one will be single crochet and then slip stitch. Then you chain again, and then you skip a stitch, and then slip stitch again. And I'll show you one more time. I did my slip stitch, my single crochet, and my slip stitch, and I'm ready now to do my chain 3. Skip a stitch, going to the next by slip stitching, and that'll be your first slip stitch. Then you'll want to do your single crochet and then your slip stitch. You can see again, slip stitch, single crochet, slip stitch, and then I'm ready to chain 3 again. Skip a stitch, slip stitch into the next. Then single crochet, slip stitch, chain 3. And just keep doing that till you get to the end, and the last stitch of the round should be a slip stitch. I'm sorry, the last stitch of the round is a single crochet. Sorry, not a slip stitch. Anyway, this is the way the first round looks. Now you want to chain 1 and turn. And you want to put a single crochet here and the single crochet from the previous round. And then now you want to start working 4 butterfly stitches in all your chain 3 spaces along the line. To do the butterfly stitch, you go through, you pull up a loop, pull through 1 loop, then you go in the chain 3 space, pull up another loop, pull through 2, and chain 1. So you want to do that 4 times. Into your chain 3 space. Don't forget to chain 1 after each butterfly. And remember not to yarn over. I know it's so difficult, even for me. So used to the double crochet. Okay, just got my 4th, and I chained at the end of my butterfly stitch. Now, every time you do your 4th set of butterfly stitches, you're going to want to attach it in the single crochet from the last round. Remember that we did slip stitch, single crochet, slip stitch, so you're always going to want to skip this first slip stitch and just slip stitch into the single crochet from the previous round. And then just start again with your next set of 4 butterfly stitches in your chain 3 space. Oops. Doing my last one here. So my yarn's kind of, there we go. Yarn was pulling on me. Okay, I got my 4. So I'm going to slip stitch into this middle stitch, the single crochet from the previous round. Then start your next 4 butterfly stitches in the next chain 3 space. Continue that till you get to the end. Okay, I'm at the end of round 2 here, and I want to slip stitch into my last single crochet here to finish my last set of butterflies. And this is what it looks like. Now you want to put those right side facing you. That's the back. Put those 2 pieces together. Try to line them up as best as you can with your yarn out. Got mine lined up as much as I can. Kind of stick my fingers here through helps. Make sure it's aligned. Now what I want to do is go in to this opposite side where my stitch is here. I'm going to be wanting to make 2 stitches, one here and one here. Slip stitches. So I'm just going to go in through, this is my top stitch here. So I need to go in through the one right under it. That's where I'm going to want to put my second slip stitch. So the first one I'll put here. Oof. Slip stitch. And then I'm going to go in through the top stitch of the round I just finished here. Then I'm going to grab the top stitch of that one and slip stitch a second time. And then chain 1. And then now you've got your ring going here. Now for this round, we're going to be doing back post single crochets. We're going to need a total of 25. So what you do is you go in from behind. So find a space closest as you can to your chain here. Let me see if I can get a little closer. Just find a place to stick your hook. You can see your stitches running along the top. Go into the first one, push it back, go into that second one here, pull up a loop, I mean, pull through both of those, and then single crochet. Now you're going to go in to the same one where you last entered. So you always want to go back in through the last place that you entered. So I want to go through here, push back my stitch, go into the next, pull my loop through both of those, and then single crochet. Again, I want to go in through the last place where I exited, find the next stitch. See, there's a the place here where you have that big hole here. There's like one big space, a little space, and one big space. I typically don't try to go into this space unless I have to. Twice, that is. So what I'll do is I'll go through this first big space, and then I'll go in through that small little hole, pull through the loop, and chain one. And then I won't go through that small space again. I'll just go through, as you can see, this is the small space. And then now you can see there's another kind of weird stitch to the side of it. I'll just go through that space, pulling back that single stitch, and then single crocheting. And then now, instead of going through this space, I'll go below to this more sturdier space, push it back by going into the next stitch and single crochet. And now we're in the more sturdier stitches. So I just want to go into that same stitch I exited from last time, and then going into the next. And this one that I'm going through, the next, I call it the next one, that's where you're going to be starting your next single crochet. So that's what I mean by starting where you exited. So I'm just going to go right back into that space, and then pushing it back, I'm going into the bigger of the middle space, going into that little hole there in the center, and slip stitching. Now I'm going to go in this bigger space, push it back, just wherever you can get a pretty good stitch. And this is probably the worst part, other than the thumb, about this. Go into that same stitch, push it back, go back into the same stitch. You just need a total of 25 of these stitches. See, I used the bigger part of this 3 chain here, and I'm just going to go into that little loop there in the middle and use my big space on the end. Go into the next until you get your 25 stitches. You try to use whatever you can get to get your 25 stitches. And count your stitches when you get to the end. It's very, very important, because you may need to back up and try to find another place to put the back post single crochet. So I want to get up here to the end to count to see if I have too much or too little, or just right. Okay. Come on, screen. Okay, I'm back up to my little connection piece here, and I just want to count real quick how many stitches I have. So starting from here where we began, there's the first stitch. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 24. I need one more, and I haven't quite made it up to my chain space here, so I need to do one more. So I'm going to go ahead and go in through, I have a little space here, see, I can put one right there, grab that little loop back, there we go. Now I have my 25 that I need. Now this next one will be much easier now that we have our 25 and we can clearly see our stitches. I'm going to be going in through one and pushing back the next and doing another row of back post single crochets. It's so much easier because you can see every stitch is clearly defined this round. Just keep on working your back post single crochet, going in through the last place where you exited. Continue that around, and when you get to the end of this round, count your stitches again just to make sure 100% that you have your 25 stitches, and you can also see that little ridge working. Okay, I just got done and I counted. I have my 25 stitches that I need, and now we're going to be starting our round with butterfly stitches. So round 5 through round 12, we're going to be doing one continuous round of butterfly stitches. So what I do is I go in through my first stitch, because as you know, butterfly stitches take 2 stitches, pull up a loop, pull through one, go into the next, pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2, and chain 1. And at the bottom here of your first butterfly stitch, which takes 2, you want to just pull up that little area and put a marker there so that you know this is your very first stitch of the round. And then you want to continue to work using 2 stitches to complete the butterfly stitch, and making sure you chain to complete the butterfly stitch. Just keep working your butterfly stitches around for 8 rows, and the way you want to count it is always on the left side of your marker. So when you start doing your rounds of butterfly stitches and you start to count your rows, you want to start counting from here. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the left side of your marker. And when you have 8 completed rows and you're back up to your marker and behind it you can count and it says 9, then you know you're where you want to be. This side will have 8 rounds, this side will have 9. So once it's complete 8 rounds on the left side and you're sitting here with your hook in your hand and you're ready to go, then I will show you how to make the thumb. Forgot I wanted to show you one more thing. When you're about to start round 6, you should have to where you begin a butterfly stitch before this was the very first stitch of the round, and you always have a long thing at the beginning. So you want to end in this stitch. So I've come to the last stitch of the round. I'm going to go in, pull up my first part of the butterfly stitch, and I'm going to go into that big beginning loop, whatever you want to call it, to finish it. And now it will be one continuous round. And to work the next round, if you've never done butterfly stitches, is you're going to be working in the wings of the butterfly. You go in through this first wing, pull up a loop, pull through one, Then you go in through the second wing of the butterfly, pull through two, and chain one. And again, there's the next butterfly. Go in through the first wing, pull up a loop, go in through the second wing, pull up a loop, pull through two, chain one. And you're just going to want to continue to do this, working in each wing of the butterfly, until you have 8 rows on this side of your marker. Okay, so how was that? Worked up pretty quick, didn't it? Okay, so I'm on the left side here. I have 8. I counted over here, I have 8. So that's good. I thought before I remembered there being 9 on this side. Weird. Anyway, so I stopped 1 stitch short before the end, because I want to start my thumb. So I'm going to show you the very last stitch here to my butterfly stitch, but don't chain on this last one. What you want to do is, working into the next 6 stitches, you want to do a single crochet in each wing of the butterfly. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Let me just make sure here. It's been a while. Okay, it says 4 times. Sorry, it's been a few since I made one of these. So we want to do 4 foundation single crochets, and to do that you want to chain 2, go into that first chain, pull up a loop, leaving you 2 loops on your hook, then pull through 1, pull through 1, then get a loop over and pull through 2. Now, this was the one we went through last time, so we're going to go up 1 more, and then this next one, it has 1 and 2 little sections. I'm going to go through that bottom section, pull up a loop, pull through 1 of the loops, yarn over, pull through 2 of the loops, and that's your second. Now, this is the stitch we just made. Again, 2 sections of that stitch, go into the bottom one, pull up a loop, and then go through 1, and then draw through 2. So now I need to do 1 more. Essentially, when you're doing this, you're making your chain by going through 1, then you're completing a single crochet by going through 2. So you're doing your chaining and your single crocheting all at once. Okay, I've got my 4, and here, if you count back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is my first stitch in my single crochet. I'm going to turn my work over here, holding on to that space, and I'm going to slip stitch. Actually, I think I need to butterfly stitch to connect. 1 second. Just 1 second. Okay, sorry. Had to refresh my memory there. Okay, to connect this little foundation crochet, single crochet, you want to connect it by doing the butterfly stitch. So go into that 6th loop, pull up a loop, go through 1, then turn, and you want to go in through this next single crochet, pull up a loop, pull through 2, and chain 1. Then now, using the next 2 single crochets, make another butterfly stitch, chain 1 to finish, and then the last 2 single crochets, do a butterfly stitch, chain 1, then you did 4 foundation single crochets. It's a lot easier if you count from the left to the right. You can count 1, 2, 3, 4. So this will be my first one. I want to go in through that one and start my next butterfly stitch using 2 stitches as always, chain 1. Now using the next 2 foundation single crochets, I'm going to do my last butterfly stitch of this round of the thumb and chain 1. Now for the next round of the thumb, we're not going to be chaining 1 at the end of the butterfly stitch. So find the first stitch, which would be here. This is my first butterfly. So I'm going to go into this one using both wings as always, except don't chain 1 at the end. Just keep going through each wings of the butterfly and doing a butterfly stitch without chaining at the end. I know it's difficult to see the stitches on the thumb on camera, but hopefully you're finding your butterflies okay. Okay, you should have a total of 6. I don't like that loose stitch there. I'm going to tighten up my loop here. Should have 6 on round 2. Okay. Now, because we didn't chain 1 in between our butterflies, this middle stitch that would usually be like this is now off to the side. And we're left with a bigger loop. Now, in each of these loops around, it's hard to see, each of these big loops around, you want to put 2 single crochets in each of those loops for a total of 8. So that's 1 set. That's my second set. Fighting with my yarn here. Find my next big loop here. Put 2 single crochets in that one. That's the last one, right? 2, 4, 6. Nope, I got one more left. Okay. Okay, now just want to count to see if I have my 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Now for this round, we want to do 1 single crochet in each of those single crochets around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now I'm just going to go into the next stitch here. Slip stitch, chain 1, leaving myself a little bit of a tail to work in later. Don't fasten off your yarn. Okay, that's our thumb. Now we want to remake our loop. Actually, I'm going to leave myself a little bit more of a tail so I can work it in later if I need. Okay. So, working on the left side of your thumb here into this first butterfly stitch, going through that first wing, and attach your yarn. Then I'm going to draw up a loop here, pull through one of the loops, go into the next loop, pull through two, pull through two, and my tail is back here. I'm not going to work it in with my hook. I'm going to use a needle. So in the next one, wait, no, I need a chain one. Okay, and then do butterfly in the next stitch, chain one. Make sure to continue to do your chain one at the end of the stitch. We'll continue that around till you get back to the thumb area. Okay, here I am right before the thumb, and before you do this next stitch, don't chain at the end of this last butterfly of the round. You just want to go into this space. See, it's so hard to see. This is the start of your thumb. This little part here, this was your first butterfly round. So this is the first stitch of that round. This is the stitch you want to just do a slip stitch into. And it should just bring it to tighten it up there, because you didn't chain one here. Makes it tight. Then now, row 2 of the thumb is here. And if you roll it down here where you can see the stitches, you can see the stitches here. Go into the first, start your butterfly stitch, and then into the next stitch to finish. Chain one to finish the stitch. Then go into the next of these stitches. Using 2 of the stitches, do the next butterfly stitch, and I got a big loop. Don't want to have a big loop. I have this loop here. I'm going to go in where it's tighter here, where I'm not going to be drawing so long of a loop. Makes it a more sturdier thumb. And chain one. And now my next stitch, there's this big gap here. That is the first round of the thumb. What I want to do is go down into this stitch. It's hard to see, but there's this strong stitch here next to this big stitch from the first round of the butterfly on the thumb. I want to go through that one, pull up a loop, and then I want to finish my butterfly using this first stitch where we reattached our yarn after we got done with our thumb. There's a big loop, as always, on the left side of the first butterfly. I'm going to finish my butterfly in this stitch. Oops. Really fighting with my yarn tonight. And that puts us in line to continue to do our butterflies. Chain one at the end till we get back up to the thumb again. Okay, I made it to the end. This is round 10. At the very last stitch, don't chain one at the end of the butterfly stitch. What you want to do, see if you can see here, I know it's difficult with this color that I chose, but it's kind of like a bow tie or butterfly in a way. There's 1, 2, 3, pretzel, what I think more of. There's this stitch and this stitch and then the bottom stitch here. I know it's so hard to see, but you want to use this stitch and this stitch, the 2 top stitches of the pretzel, to do your butterfly stitch. So go in through this one, pull up a loop, and then go in through that other top of the pretzel, and chain 1 and finish your butterfly stitch. And then you just want to continue on your thumb, working regular butterfly stitches. And then just continue around. You need to continue until you have a total of 12 from the left side of your marker here up to the top. You should have 12 rows. Oh yeah, this part before the thumb here, just work this as a regular butterfly stitch. Go into the little space before and then into the next, and then just continue around. This is the 11th row. So when I get to the end of the 12th, I'll meet you back here. Okay, you get on the left side of your marker, and we know it's so hard to fight with this camera here. There we go, let's make it. Okay, you know we started our thumb at the beginning actually of our round. So we know it's here. So we definitely want to flip it over and count up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Have my 12 rows. And I want to start the end part of the glove over this thumb part so that you don't notice it so much. So take it all the way up until you're about to start above your thumb. And then the last butterfly stitch, don't chain 1. And you want to just start single crocheting. And if you wanted to change colors to make the end different color, this would be the chance. This would be the place to do it. And if you wanted to make the ruffles a different color, the first butterfly stitch we did here, you would want to change colors before you do the first butterfly stitch. So we're going to be starting the end, and I'm going to keep this color. So I'm just going to start single crocheting in each of my butterfly wings. And at the end of this row, I should have 25 stitches. And if you don't, you have 26, then you need to decrease by 1. And once you've made a pair, try it. And if you want it to be a little bit more snug here, then you can even decrease 1 or 2 more times. Depends on what your preference is. I think it's pretty comfortable at 25 stitches. Okay, I'm coming up to the end of my row here. Okay, I'm at the end here. My first single crochet is here, so I need to count. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. How did I end up with 20? Wait. Just put my glove on here. Huh? Fits good. Maybe I miscounted. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. I have 20 stitches. Okay. And it fits good. So 25, 20 stitches, like I said, doesn't matter. If it fits good and you like that tightness, then that's fine. And it fits fine for me, so I guess I'm going to have 20 stitches. Okay, so the next round is going to be the back post single crochet. So you want to be going in through the stitch. This is our very first single crochet. I'm just going to go into the stitch before it so I can push it back. And I should probably, and then pull a loop through, single crochet, going through that stitch where you exited. Just do the same. You want to do 3 rows of back post single crochet. And if you find that yours is too tight at the top, it's easy, so easy. When you get to the butterflies here, it's just do 2 single crochets and 1 butterfly wing somewhere, you know, just mix them up and until you get it the width that you want. So just keep on doing your back post single crochets for 3 rounds. Get into my last stitch. And then I just want to go into the next stitch and slip stitch when I've come to the end of my row here. This is my, you can see there's 3 rows. If you keep going, you'd have 4. So this is the end. Slip stitch. The next stitch, chain 1, I'm going to leave myself a little tail to sew in. And again, like I said, I've always had 25 to 26 stitches up here. It's odd. Don't know how I ended up with 20. But like I said, it doesn't matter as long as it fits and you like it. So put the glove on, and I know it's kind of difficult because it's not solid. It's like more of a mesh net kind of glove. And that's it. Just make another one like that. Put your get your needle and work in through the stitches, and make sure that it doesn't show, because I think gloves are really important that you don't see the tails. So just work in your tails, take out your marker, make one more, and there you go. That's how you make the butterfly stitch fingerless glove. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, and please like this video if you liked this video. Thanks for watching.